No mess mixing for your HVLP spray gun? Is there such a thing? I'm gonna show you using whatever this thing is. My name is Drewshort. Welcome to the Rockin' H Woodshop, where this channel's mission is to learn, teach, and inspire others to create things instead of buy them. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome you. And if you're so inclined, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell. That way it'll alert you anytime that I post new content. And if you want to support the show, you can visit my Amazon page or become a patron of the show. So now, let's get busy to figure out what this thing is. So tip number 5 is pretty simple, but I ended up learning it the hard way, and it's something I really didn't take into consideration when I go to mix paint. And that tip is to buy or salvage some paint cans, empty paint cans. Now you can buy these kind from big box stores, and I think they're around $4 or $5 for something like this, and about $3 or $4 for something like this. But like I said, you can actually salvage them. And one of the cool ones that I found, at least in the quart size containers, are these plastic ones that polyacrylic comes in. And I go through polyacrylic pretty fast because I usually put it on top of water-based latex enamels and things like that. So I've got a couple of these, but they're plastic, so things don't stick to it very easily. And it's really good for my lacquers and things like that. But it'll work for water-based latex enamels too. So you can salvage them and clean them up really good after they're done. Don't let them sit, or just go buy you some that are already clean and just make sure that you keep them clean as you use them. Now tip 4, basically is something else I learned the hard way because I didn't want to spend the extra money on them, but they have come in so handy. And it's buying extra canisters for your HVLP sprayer. So whoever manufactures the gun that you're going to use, buy some extra canisters, because what you can do, especially if you're spraying lacquer and sealer, you can put sealer in one, lacquer in another, and whatever solvent is used to clean it in another. So that way you don't have to clean out one cup after, say, you're done putting primer on. You don't have to take this cup off, empty it out, clean it, and then put your paint in it. You can actually just take it off, put one of these little cups right on top so the paint doesn't dry out, and set it aside. Then take your canister that has the solvent in it, hook it up to your gun, spray it through so it'll clean out the gun, and then put the new canister, which would be this one, that has your new product in it, either a different color or lacquer or whatever that's different from the first one. And then spray a little bit through the gun after you've hooked it up so you clean out the solvent cleaner, and then go to town again. I mean, it's quick and fast to do it that way, and it keeps your productivity up. Now tip number 3 is something that I've actually had for about 3 or 4 years, maybe longer. It's something that I got from Rockler, but it makes mixing paint painless and less messy, or if not any mess at all. And that's mixer mates. Now whether or not Rockler still makes these is still up in the air, I'm not sure, but I do have these in my Amazon store. You can actually find just about any tool that I use in my shop, if it's still in production, in my Amazon store, and you can buy it from there. And that helps supports the show as well. But these things are the beans when it comes to mixing paint, because it doesn't create a mess. And depending on which size that you get, either the gallon or the quart, it still does the job very well. So basically the anatomy of these things, it has a detachable auger that you can actually take out of the unit, and it has 2 fins on it that stir the paint up and basically creates a tornado that goes from the top to the bottom. It has a handle on top that spins the auger, and then depending on the size of the mixer mate, the quart has 2 cam locks and the gallon has 4 cam locks. And it basically turns these fins underneath the lid of the canister so it can't come off. And you can actually pick up the gallon or the quart by the handle and it will stay attached. There's a seal on the underneath side here that keeps the paint from crusting up and getting kind of old and non-usable. So you can actually, theoretically, if you wanted to, leave these things attached to the can after use and store it away. If you have multiple ones of these, that's something you can easily do. I have one for paint. As you can tell, it's been used for paint. I also have another for my lacquer, or anything clear that I use, depending on what kind of solvent is used to clean it up. But I use paint for this one and lacquer for the other one. I also have 2 of the quartz, and I have specific uses for them as well, including stain. There's even a trap door at the top that all you have to do is push this trigger down, and it pulls that trap door back, and you can pick up the canister by the handle and pour the paint, and then shut the door, and it cuts the paint supply off, and you just clean the lip of it with just a paper towel, and then set it aside. These things are awesome, and you will see how well they work here in just a minute. So here's a question for you. What kind of method do you use? Do you have an HVLP system, such as an air compressor or a turbine? Do you maybe mix your paint completely different than what I do? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can drop them down below in the comment section. That way the rest of the community can have some insight on your processes as well. So you remember how I told you to have extra buckets of these. The reason why I have a big one that's extra is this is the solvent canister that I have. So I have water inside this one for my latex enamel. I have another one filled with mineral spirits, and then another one filled with lacquer thinner. And they all serve a purpose because they all do cleanups for different things. Anything that you use to clean with, have yourself a big container, because the parts of this gun can be rather bulky and they won't fit in a small little quart size like this. However, small little parts that come off of this can go in something like this. So that way they can stay soaking and won't dry on there really bad, so whenever I go to clean it later, it'll make it that much easier. So now, on to Patreon tips. Alert! If you want more tips not found here, then become a patron. You'll get 24-hour access to videos and rewards. So you heard me say that multiple canisters of whatever gun that you are using with multiple products in it saves you time, but it also helps save on cleanup as well as going from product to product to product. So I keep one of these with whatever cleaner that I am using. So if I'm using latex enamel, I have water in one of these, and I keep it in there. So that way I can take the gun off, put it on that, spray it through, and then put it on the new product. But if you are still using the same product, and your gun starts spraying kind of sporadic or kind of spurts a little bit, it probably means that it's clogged with some dried paint, and you need to clean that out. Quick and easy way is to take it off of whatever product you are spraying, stick it in here, spray it through your gun, and it will clean out any blockages that you have in your gun. And anything that's on the outside you can easily get with a paper towel. But if there's something inside the gun, you can't get it with a paper towel, so you're gonna have to use something that can get it out. And for water-based latex enamel, I found that super hot water does the trick. Don't use cold or room temperature, it doesn't quite work very well. Get you some super hot water and put in this canister and spray it through your gun, and it will clean it out very nicely. So now that you know the tips, let me show you how they're applied, and I'll show you from start to finish how I mix my paint with no mess and no fuss. cleanup for these mixer mates can't be any easier. I open up the hatch, pour water until it's full, auger it around, spin it around really vigorously, and then dump it out. I continuously do that until this is completely clean. So once your water comes out clear, this thing is clean. And then you can take it off and then do any minor cleanup that you probably missed on the seal. That's all. So don't forget to come back for part 2, and I'll show you how to adjust the settings on this particular gun to make your finish come out silky smooth with no orange peel whatsoever. I've learned quite a few things doing this over the past couple of years. So be sure and subscribe right over here. Check out my last video right there, and I'll see you on part 2. Boom!